The Tim Heale Thirsty Thursday live stream from 7 until 9 weekly. Here's your host, Tim Heale.
So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing my guests back in. So we'll start off with our first guest. So Velleta, you're back in the room. How you doing?
Yeah, fine, thank you. It's very interesting listening to Chris. And a lot of what he's said, is very true. It just is amazing how, not so much with the government, but just, how, from a veteran's point of view, how he feels.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us veterans feel a bit similar, actually. Having been in some conflicts myself, and at the end of the day, it's not me that's been making an awful lot of money out of it. That's for sure.
No.
All right, I might look good on the mess night, and I'll walk round in circles to the left, but I was pretty lucky to come out of it a few times. I've got too close on occasion. So anyway, let's bring Chris back in. So here you go, Chris. You're back in the room. Hey,
boom! Now,
boom! We're in the room.
Yes, there I am. Can you introduce us, Tim? Sorry, I've been out.
Okay, so we've got Velleta. Velleta's one of our colonials that spent a lot of time over here and in our British military. Chris was a bootleg, so Velleta was in from the get go, and we'll also bring in young Tim, who's a German firefighter. and Tim goes back.
Tim, how are you doing, brother?
A long way.
Mate.
Poached us together a million years ago.
Wow.
Many moons ago, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Velleta, that's an incredible name.
Oh, right, thank you. My mum made it up.
Yeah.
I think she hated me.
No,
I've paid for it ever since.
She was obviously on Malta.
I knew you'd say that, Tim. Bloody hell. How are you, my old monkey? You all right?
Language, please.
Oh, sorry.
This is a family show.
I do beg your pardon. Sorry. How are you, Tim? All right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So we've had quite a good chat this evening. It's an important subject as well. I mean, it's looking at suicide and trying to make people aware of it, and those that are in a dark place. It's trying to identify them and letting them know that there is help there for them, and a lot of the time, all somebody needs is for somebody to sit down and listen and say it's okay not to be okay, and there is help there if you want it, if you need it, and you're going to get it whether you want it or not. So that's another approach. I mean, you can force it upon them. You can drag them to therapy.
I think, like Chris said, Tim, a person has to want to get help.
Yeah.
Same with like alcoholism. If you don't want to get help, nobody else can do it other than you. It's no good other people trying to get you to do something you don't want to do. So you've got to yourself want to either be strong enough or you want to get yourself out of that hole, basically.
Absolutely. And it's very, very easy actually to go down that rabbit hole. It's very, very easy to get stuck into a drink every night. it's very, very easy to use it as a coping strategy. And more often than not, it's not. It doesn't help. I mean, Chris will probably vouch for this. I mean, substance abuse is probably a dead end road. It's not a great place where you want to end up. And it's not until there's a real catalyst that snaps you either out of it or ends it. I mean, Chris's story, particularly the part 2 that we did, was quite harrowing. And hopefully it hasn't given too many people nightmares that have listened to it and watched it. Because it's on the podcast, so you can listen to it in the car if you're driving, or you can watch it on YouTube. It's on YouTube, and it's I can only urge people enough to go and do it. My podcasts are all about other people, and I've had some fantastic guests on. As you only need to go and have a look. And fortunately, I've been blessed with a huge amount of people that want to come on and tell their stories. And it's all about other people's lives. It's all about their troubles and tribulations and how they got through life and where they've got to now. And that's the way that we're driving it forward. Looks like Tim's got some technical issues. Unfortunately, he was struggling through that. I think it's one of two things have happened. He's either got called out or his internet's died on him finally. But Chris, I mean, your story, I mean, from rags to riches, back down to rags, and now you're a fitness freak. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, it's. I think it's important for people to understand that my life's perfect. I mean, obviously I have challenges like everyone else, but no, I go to bed in paradise and I wake up in paradise. I've got the most gorgeous family, and I've got I've created a career that I love, and I'm really lucky. It means I don't have to work. And like, for people that might be listening to this, that might be struggling, I couldn't be where I am if I hadn't lived the life that I lived. So what does that tell us about challenges? It tells you that it all comes good in the end. It all comes good in the end. I say this a lot, Tim, there's no such thing as a bad experience. That's like a brainwashing that we get when we're young, that you should have you should only have good. No. Life is like this, and you learn when you're up here, and you learn when you're down there, and ultimately it gets you to a really good place. But you got to hang in there, and you've got to keep the faith when times are really dark. As to why some people keep the faith and some don't, that's a fascinating question. And like I say, they don't do any research into this, do they? There should be reams of scientists and social scientists and intellectuals looking at this and taking, sample groups and all this sort of stuff. But of course they don't. I mean, the interesting thing in Australia, I was talking to my friend who's a headmistress there, and she said even when the kids are in school, at that young age, they have I think they call it like a traffic light system. And already the multi-services, so the social work, the education, police, whatever, they're all working together, and they look at the children and they raise a flag if they can see that the social circumstance that the kid's coming from is most likely going to end them up on their ass, basically. So, you know, in addiction or violence or whatever it might be. Very pragmatic, very forward sort of thinking. And obviously we need the same thing in the forces, don't we? Before you leave the forces, you should have a significant training into, look, your mindset's like this now, but when you leave, you're going to face these challenges, and it's okay. You're not failed. You know, it's fine. You can be literally on your ass, excuse my French, without a penny in your pocket, and I've literally been there, sat amongst the litter on the street in Hong Kong, and as long as you can lift your head up and smile and say, God, is this the best you can do? Yeah, that is literally all you need, and it's, I guess, helping people to make that connection, But obviously, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? The Marines, for example, pride themselves on being the best at everything, or the elite. Well, clearly not, are they? If so many blokes leave the Marines and kill themselves, there's something that they're really not doing very well.
There's that bit of the training that is missing, I think. And although we've been doing quite a bit to alleviate that, particularly in the transition phases when you're looking at getting out. I mean, they give you you start your transition you can start about 2 years prior to actually leaving. Once you've and then you get to the year point where you do the 7 clicks, and then you're out of it. You've got a year then. Once you've done the 7 clicks, you've got that year to do your transition. But it depends on what role you're doing. Quite often you get guys that are working up until their last day because they're in a job that they just passionate about getting finished, and they don't want to let go. And those are the guys that really struggle when they get out, because they haven't taken the chance to go through the process, taken the opportunities to do the transition work, to do the courses that set you up for going into Civvy Street. And it's to say what I was saying earlier, the guys that are being medically discharged have got a much better advantage than a guy that's done his full 24 years and then getting out. Those are the guys that really find it difficult. I certainly did. It's a proper nightmare when you get out, trying to fit into a civilian workplace. And
But Tim,
I
sorry,
struggle
how
with their
can you?
mindset. Yeah.
How can you fit in? You've been in the army, you've been trained a certain way, and then you're just expected to drop that and go into civilian life, which is there, but you're just expected to be able to adjust without any help. Or, even if you do get help, in your mindset, you're still in the army. You've been trained that way, and that is all you think. So then when you come up against civilians, you think they're right plonkers, and you just, it's hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
I mean, and then it takes longer for the transition. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, that was, I mean, the original problem that I had was I did several jobs, and I just found it so frustrating that people didn't care. They don't care whether the job gets done or not. And so I did some lorry driving for quite a while, and some blokes weren't bothered whether he got the load there or not. And other blokes, the ex-military types, were making them look monkeys. I mean, I had an incident. I was working for Tesco's. I was an agency driver, and I went to a Tesco's distribution centre, and I knew how you couldn't break the rules in there. I mean, you didn't go over 40 mile an hour with a truck. You took all your breaks at the right sort of time and stuff like that. So I've been in there a couple of times, got the hang of what they were doing. And this particular day, their drivers wouldn't speak to you. I mean, they treated you like coming on the bottom of the shoe that stunk or something. I got this job to the Isle of Wight, from Milton Keynes to the Isle of Wight, back again. So I'd driven at 40 mile an hour all the way down the A34. Have you ever tried driving at 40 mile an hour on the A34? It's mind numbing. Anyway, I got down to Portsmouth. I've gone over on the red funnel, gone round to the store, tipped. I'd had an hour break on the way down. I'd had another hour break on the Isle of Wight, and I took another hour break on the way back up, all at 40 mile an hour. I got back to the depot, I think it was about 10 3/4 hours, something like that. Dropped the trailer, dropped the bits and pieces off, walked into the transport office, gave me papers. The transport mate looked shocked. He says, "You have been to the Isle of Wight?" Yeah. He said, "Can I see a tachograph driver?" So give me disc and my tachograph. I think, what the hell have I done wrong? so he looked at it. He's called another manager over. They looked at it. They've taken a photograph of it, or a photocopy of it. No, that's fine, driver. There you go. There's you're in tomorrow. You got this run. So it was in the following day. When in the following morning, as I've gone through, there's a driver's room, and then there's a sort of a changing room, locker room, toilet. Half a dozen air drivers have pushed me into this room and started having a go at me. I said, stop right there. I said, nobody told me I had to take a night out to do the Isle of Wight. These blokes have been taking the mickey for months, taking a night out to do the Isle of Wight from Milton Keynes. Anyway, after that, they got a little bit more friendly towards us, and they started to sort of, what you got, driver? I mean, not very polite, but what you got, driver? Oh, you want to take so many hours to do that? Okay. I didn't last long in there. But that's the sort of mindset that you're trying to deal with when you've been getting on with a job and making things happen, making it work. And that's what the military does the best, is make it work. And quite often that ends up to the detriment of the military, really, because they've got this can-do, get the job done attitude. It then get called in for everything. And so we were saying earlier, they get called in for the pandemic, the rollout of the vaccines. They got called in to twice in my career. I've been a firefighter because the firefighters went on strike. And we're talking about bringing them in to drive trains not so long ago. But anything that's sort of a national disaster, the first people to call in is the military. But what they don't realise at the moment is the military's on its arse. They've cut the military. I think it's about 64,000 in the army at the moment, and they're stretched. They are stretched beyond limits, and that's what people don't understand.
The poor old firefighters, they haven't had it so good over the years either. Did you know that the fire service is based on the Navy? I never knew this. There's a lot of like naval history to the fire service, or certainly to, I think, the London station.
London Fire Brigade.
I just read a book by a friend of mine, Steve, and yeah, it's interesting. You talk about the these strikes and stuff, it makes it sound like they're being really selfish or something. But when you read it from their perspective, they've been hung out to dry, Tim, you know? I mean, they used to have kind of like a military thing going on there where it was hands-on, on-the-job training, learning from your old sweats, keep your nose clean, have a laugh, muck around as much as you can to kind of keep the banter going, keep the camaraderie going, laugh when you've had to go to some horrible incident that would crease most people. And then of course it all just got under Blair, just got managerial.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what's happened with the National Health Service. There's just far too many managers and not enough clinicians and medical staff. There's too many pen pushers, and that's to the detriment of the whole of the NHS. I mean, it's just a big money pit. It's not suffering from lack of funds. It's suffering from lack of management and lack of medical staff. And I think
or the right
everybody
staff.
will agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that comes down to the mental health services as well. I mean, the mental health services is on its knees, and as much as they're trying to recruit those mental health staff, trying to get an appointment to go and see somebody for your mental health is a struggle in a lot of places. So that's what we're up against. I'm just going to give a couple of shout outs because I see Greg's in the house. He's following. Catherine is still there. Actually, Catherine's made a really good point there. I'm just going to pop that up when I can get to it. Pop. There you go. Lots of guys, when they get out, they go and join the other services: police, fire, prison, and security jobs.
Tim, sorry to
kind of what we know.
Sorry to tick you off on your own show, mate, but you forgot to say something.
Oh, blimey! Congratulations, lad.
Hang on, yes, I'm on the run. I'm watching on YouTube, and there's a massive delay, and I'm wondering why I'm holding up something that's invisible. Hang on.
Go on, then, Chris. Yes. Tell us about your award.
Mate, I won Veteran of the Year in the category of inspiration. There you go. If you don't believe me, it says it in glass. You have to believe me because I've
awesome. I saw that. I saw that come up, and I saw young Greg helped you out of it.
Say again, young
Greg.
Yeah, Greg, bless him. Absolutely, we had an absolutely wonderful time. Greg just come and took care of me, 100%. Paid for everything. Talk about I say the kindness of strangers, but I mean that in context. We only met online through my YouTube channel. Greg paid for our hotels. He paid all our travels. He paid for the black tie dinner as a thank you to me, and I was quite grateful to accept it because I'm bloody skint. But no, what absolutely wonderful. But
that's a great achievement, by the
way. Yes, but I got to forget. I forget Tim, and I should be touting you, shouldn't I?
I should feel honoured.
Tim, where's your clapping thing in the background?
Oh,
you should put that on for him.
Give it
there you go.
That.
Yay!
Loads of that.
Yeah. Hey, this is the only time
to go with it.
I'm not going to hold the World Cup, am I? I'm not going to walk the red carpet on the Oscars, but I can win Veteran of the Year. So I'm only mentioning it, folks, because for anyone listening, I've just offered to do Zoom talks with anybody, whether it's veterans mental health, whether it's recovery, whether it's AA, whatever it might be, or businesses. I will do a talk to you for a price that you can you can afford. I think people think that, well, it's kind of funny. The public speaking thing is weird. I did a talk for 20 minutes once. They paid me 1,700 quid. Like, what planet are we on? And my message is like, look, no, you don't have to pay that. Buy me a sandwich and a Coca-Cola, and I'll come and talk to your company, you know, and we'll sort something out. But it's just more important to get the message out there and you know, get people to start considering stuff that they possibly never considered before.
And that's what channels are ours are for, is getting that message out and normalising the taboo subjects. I mean, we've been talking about veterans suicide awareness tonight, and it's an important issue. But there again, it's not just veterans that are taking their own lives. There's a lot of other people that are taking their lives, and it's if we can just save one life from what we're doing on this show, then we've gone some way to helping. So,
yes,
Yeah.
yes, massively, and you're doing a great job, Tim.
Well,
You're one of the
thanks.
few, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's not many people looking at talking taboos, and it's trying to find the target audience. It's trying to get the channel to grow, to be able to get that message out there far and wide. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just to grow it. I'm not interested in making a huge amount of money. It's all about getting that message out, and it's about saving lives, and it's about helping people that are struggling, and it's about talking about taboo subjects and making them normal.
Yeah, of course.
It's
If
like
you're in the
the other week.
military if you're in the military and your weapon malfunctions, you take it to the armourer to get it fixed, don't you? It's that simple. It's the same with your mental health. If you're having problems, you got to reach out, and there's lots of people out there that can help you fix the problem. And like I say, life's so much better afterwards, because it's such a massive learning curve, all that stuff. And yes,
Yeah.
can I just say, Velleta, did Tim say you were from the colonies, or did I miss something there?
Yeah, no, I
It's a
was born
colonial.
in Australia. I was born in Australia.
Wow.
Come
Oh,
over
they can go
here when I was
down.
11, and I've been over here 50 years. So I've been
Yeah.
when the rugby's on, I am torn between Australia and England. But been to Twickenham a few times to watch Australia play. Yeah,
And
I've still got Australia in my heart.
do you go back there at all?
I didn't go back to Australia until I was 50. I was made redundant from my job and sold my car and decided to go back to Australia because I didn't know how long I had left or whatever. And I just thought, right, let's go. And that was the first time I'd seen my brothers and sisters in 40 years.
Whoa.
So, yeah. But no,
how was that? How was that? That must have been emotional.
Well, I mean, you talk to them on the phone. I mean, years ago, you used to pick the phone up and it was crackly. And I mean, now with all this, I mean, I talked to my sister on Messenger and you see her, and we never had that. But when I went over there, it was lovely. And I saw my stepdad because my dad died. And was brought up by my stepdad, and went up and saw my Uncle Barry, who he's been in the Australian Army 40 years, left as a staff sergeant, didn't want to go any higher because he wanted to stay with his mates, was well respected. And he sort of brought me up, and he made me quite rebellious. I mean, I remember he did 2 years in Vietnam, 67 to 69. And I remember meeting him off the boat. And, when he came back on leave, he had a motorbike, and I was only about 4. And he would take me out on this motorbike, and my mum used to do her nut because but no, you do silly things like that. And, yeah, it was interesting to go back, and then I went back again for a Christmas, because I'd never celebrated Christmas with my family, so I did that, and then I got married out there, and yeah, that was lovely. But yeah, I'm more British now. I think
Which part?
Sorry,
Which part of Oz?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Okay, I've only done the Sydney and up the East Coast, up the East Coast. But Brisbane is
up there, top end.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, it's Gold Coast way. Is that right?
It is Gold Coast. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, no. I'm getting confused with Melbourne now, aren't I? But yeah,
well, Darwin.
No, that's further down. But everybody seems to go to Sydney.
Anyway, guys, look.
Anyway, yes.
we're over time again.
Are we?
It's been a terrific. Yeah, it's been a terrific chat. So if you want to stick around for a few minutes after, we'll just. Thanks very much, Chris, for very, very insightful this evening, and we'll catch up very shortly.
Yeah, and thank you, Greg.
Velleta, again.
Yes, Tim.
Absolute star. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully, you've been able to take something from this. Hopefully, if you see somebody that is struggling, please make the time just to listen to them. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just for somebody to sit down and give them a little bit of time to listen to their woes and then point them in the right direction. There is a wealth of assistance out there, particularly for veterans. There is over 2,000 odd charities that are out there that can help. So until next week, remember on Tuesday we've got a fun evening. We're going to do a quiz, some fun facts, and a channel review with Keith and myself. And next Thursday is the archaeological special. If you want to come along for that, have questions ready. So in the meantime, where are we going here? We are going. I need to do this. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
The Tim Heale Thirsty Thursday live stream from 7 until 9 weekly.